Here from Singapore, we are just a short time away now from that historic first. President Trump face to face with Kim Jong-un. The president set to sit down with the North Korean dictator, their high-stakes summit, the first time a sitting U.S. president has ever met with a North Korean leader. After months of calling each other names and the threats of nuclear war, the president just tweeting will soon know if a real deal can happen. Will Kim give up his nuclear weapons? And what will he demand in return? Also tonight, who is this mysterious dictator? In just moments, he will be thrust onto the world stage beside the President of the United States. But he's been ruthless, ordering the execution of his own uncle. It's believed the assassination of his own brother, too, with a nerve agent captured on surveillance. Tonight, from the brutal dictator to the new selfie just a short time ago, and the tours here in Singapore. Back in the U.S. tonight, the hurricane, now a Category 3. We're tracking it, and the severe storm threat across several states. Possible tornadoes, heavy rain, and hail. The hostage standoff, the gunman barricaded with 4 children inside a home. The officer shot. And the mystery cabin explosion, the family of 5 killed while on vacation.
This is a special edition of World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Singapore.
And good evening tonight from Singapore, where we have witnessed a whirlwind 24 hours here. But all eyes tonight, here and around the world, are on what's happening next. Just a short time from now, we will witness a truly historic moment. The leader of the free world, President Trump, meeting face to face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un. President Trump arriving here on what he calls a mission of peace. The president has said he'll know in the first minute if Kim Jong-un is serious. And that tweet from President Trump just moments ago saying we will all know soon. And in stark contrast to the dictator who tested more missiles and more bombs than his father and grandfather, tonight Kim Jong-un taking a selfie with Singapore's foreign minister. And a surprise late-night sightseeing walk surrounded by bodyguards here. It was not long ago, Kim celebrating his barrage of missile tests and that hydrogen blast larger than Hiroshima. Is he truly ready now to give all of that up? ABC's chief White House correspondent Jonathan Karl here in Singapore, leading us off.
This is Donald Trump's moment. Even for this showman president, no move has been bolder, riskier, no spotlight more bright, more intense. At lunch with Singapore's prime minister, he sounded confident but restrained. Great to be in Singapore, he tweeted, excitement in the air. At a meeting with the American diplomats at the embassy here, a pep talk.
You are spectacular people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Even more, this is Kim Jong-un's moment. Will this 36-year-old dictator make an historic turn? He spent the eve of the talks sightseeing. Even this night on the town for the world's most isolated leader of the world's most isolated nation is without precedent. Surrounded by a phalanx of bodyguards, the same well-dressed security force earlier seen jogging alongside his car. Not since taking power 7 years ago has he ventured so far from home. He visited Singapore's Garden by the Bay, smiled as the foreign minister snapped a selfie. His next stop, a casino resort, waving at stunned tourists as he made his way. The government of Singapore is picking up his hotel tab. Kim telling the prime minister, if the summit proves successful, the name of Singapore will go down in history. President Trump says he'll know instantly if Kim is serious about making a deal.
I think within the first minute, I'll know.
How?
My touch, my feel, that's what I do. I think I'll know pretty quickly whether or not, in my opinion, something positive will happen.
The two men spent most of last year trading insults and ominous words of war.
Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime.
Kim Jong-un posing more and more of a dire threat, testing missiles capable of hitting the United States and a hydrogen bomb some 10 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. What will happen? Diplomats have been working day and night on a joint statement, but in reality, the answer depends almost entirely on two men who relish their own unpredictability.
There are only two people that can make decisions of this magnitude, and those two people are going to be sitting in a room together.
John Karl is with us here tonight in Singapore. And John, there will be two meetings tonight. We know that. But first, President Trump and Kim Jong-un face to face. No aides or advisors in the room. We're told just their interpreters, John?
Just their interpreters, the two men going face to face, David. It really does come down to them, as the president himself, who has been tweeting this morning, tweeted just a short while ago. There have been lots of other meetings with staff and representatives for the two sides that the president says have been going well, but he says in the end that doesn't matter. We will know soon whether or not a real deal, unlike those in the past, can happen, and it will come down to those two leaders. By the way, David, just minutes ago, he also tweeted lashing out at the haters and losers who have doubted him on all this, suggesting he will prove them wrong.
Before the summit even happens, John Karl leading us off. John, you'll be here with us right through the night. In the meantime, many say one of the victories for Kim Jong-un is simply standing on the same stage with the President of the United States. He will get that chance after a brutal run as dictator, taking over in his mid-20s, killing his uncle, and it's believed killing his brother, too, with a nerve agent. That surveillance seen around the world, and you're about to see it, too. So who is the man about to sit across from President Trump? He is the 36-year-old leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, though his official birth date has never been confirmed. His grandfather was North Korea's founder, known as the Great Leader, and his father, Kim Jong-il, assumed power when his grandfather died, known for the way he dressed, his platform shoes, and known for his pursuit of nuclear weapons. And when his father died of a heart attack at 70 from what the North Koreans said was overwork, it was his youngest son, Kim Jong-un, who would take over. Kim Jong-un has proven to be ruthless. He has now tested more missiles than his father and grandfather combined. He's conducted 4 nuclear tests. Just last September, he tested what was believed to be a hydrogen bomb, much larger than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Known to the North Koreans as the Supreme Leader, the world got its first glimpse of Kim Jong-un during his father's funeral in 2011. He was one of the pallbearers walking alongside his father's casket, crying at his father's wake. It is said that his father loved his fearlessness, shown when he was just a boy. And as North Korea's leader, he has now demonstrated he is willing to kill to keep his power, publicly arresting and then executing his own uncle, once a trusted advisor, but he feared his uncle was planning a coup. It's believed he was also behind the assassination of his own half-brother, once thought to be the original heir to the Kim dynasty. Last year, the world saw that surveillance video showing 2 women smearing a deadly nerve agent on his brother's face. You can see him asking for help in the moments after. He was dead within minutes. It is thought he has also killed more than 140 senior officials to keep his grip on power. The North Korean people have struggled with little food and blackouts. This satellite image showing a dark nation when the sun goes down. And that brutality reaching Americans, too. 22-year-old American student Otto Warmbier was on a guided tour trip when he was accused of stealing a propaganda poster at his hotel in 2016.
Please, I have made the worst mistake of my life.
He was sentenced to 15 years hard labor, serving 18 months, before being released back to the U.S. in a coma, eventually dying from unexplained injuries. His parents tonight are still demanding answers. Obedience is drilled into North Koreans at a young age. They are taught songs praising their leader. There is propaganda everywhere. The military parades, the uniform marching, defectors telling stories of starvation and labor camps. And last year, this video of a North Korean soldier trying to defect in the demilitarized zone, surviving the hail of bullets as he crossed the border into the south. There is little known about Kim Jong-un's personal life. Educated in Switzerland as a boy, he loves Western movies, basketball, Michael Jordan. He later became friends with Dennis Rodman. He is married. It is believed he has 3 children, and his wife is now more of a public figure in North Korea. In a rare change, she is now called Respected First Lady. And just this year, Kim Jong-un and his unexpected olive branch to South Korea, meeting with President Moon. At the DMZ, it was Kim Jong-un who suggested South Korea's leader should walk into the north. And then he did the same. Now he is set to walk up to President Trump for that face-to-face meeting, being watched by the world. The North Korean dictator set to sit down with President Trump just a short time from now. And tonight we're also learning more about Kim Jong-un's younger sister, Kim Yo-jong. She also arrived here in Singapore. She arrived on a separate plane for security reasons, but this makes it very clear that that sister is now one of his closest advisors. She'll be here for the summit. As we said, anticipation for this high-stakes summit has been building around the world for weeks now, but not in North Korea, at least not in the early stages. The state media revealing nothing about the meeting until yesterday, and this was a shift. The state newspaper reporting on their dear leader's historic meeting with the American president, letting the North Korean people know. ABC's Bob Woodruff, who's been to the region so many times, monitoring the reaction on the Korean peninsula for us tonight.
She's a familiar sight to North Koreans, but the news, unexpected. These carefully selected images of Kim Jong-un waving, getting on that plane to Singapore, where he met the Prime Minister, people stopping to watch. The same images covering the state newspaper. Until now, most in this isolated kingdom only aware their supreme leader planned to meet with the U.S. president, but not when or where. But now, North Korean state TV reporting the leaders will discuss a new relationship between their nations, even bringing up the future possibility of a denuclearized Korean peninsula. In neighboring South Korea, they're following the summit closely. There is cautious optimism, but this man we met at a peace march is wary.
Who can trust Trump and Kim Jong-un? Nobody can.
So you don't trust either one of them?
Just a hope.
Just hope.
Yeah.
Now, President Trump and South Korea's president spoke over the phone ahead of the summit. The people on this peninsula are just waiting for the results from these historic talks and if they will finally get some peace. David?
Bob Woodruff reporting in from Seoul tonight. Bob, our thanks to you. And at the same time that President Trump is on a mission of peace with North Korea, as he calls it, he's attacking America's closest allies, singling out Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for pushing back against stiff tariffs the U.S. is now imposing and taking on all of the G7 countries for, as he sees it, unfair trade. And this image put out over the weekend by the German government during the summit, and there's so many people studying that body language. Here's ABC's Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz, also here in Singapore.
Even as he was preparing to sit down with America's fiercest foe, President Trump launched a new volley of attacks on our closest allies. Sorry, we cannot let our friends or enemies take advantage of us on trade anymore, he tweeted. Barely 48 hours ago, the president was touting his ties to the G7 countries.
Angela and Emmanuel and Justin, I would say the relationship is a 10.
But things quickly turned dark. Trump refusing to budge on his plans to impose stiff tariffs on aluminum and steel from Canada and other allies. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau vowing to retaliate with tariffs on American goods.
Canadians were polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around.
The president went ballistic, calling Trudeau very dishonest and weak, refusing to sign the traditional G7 statement of solidarity. His advisors going even further.
There's a special place in hell for any foreign leader that engages in bad faith diplomacy with President Donald J. Trump and then tries to stab him in the back on the way out the door.
They accused Trudeau of trying to undermine the North Korea summit.
POTUS is not going to let a Canadian Prime Minister push him around. Kim must not see American weakness.
From Canada, a measured response.
Canada does not believe that ad hominem attacks are a particularly appropriate or useful way to conduct our relations.
And in Germany, Chancellor Angela Merkel calling out Trump's words as sobering and a little depressing.
And Martha Raddatz back with us tonight here in Singapore. Secretary Pompeo, right here in the region, was pressed. Does he agree with what President Trump said about Justin Trudeau? And he didn't go that far. He actually said there are often irritants in our relationships.
There are irritants, David, but there is very rarely name-calling from a president of the United States to our allies. We're here for this historic summit, but that issue is not going to go away, David.
All right, Martha, you and I will be here right through the night. Thank you. Stay with ABC News for full coverage of the summit right here in Singapore, including that historic moment when President Trump and Kim Jong-un meet for the first time. We will break in live. I'll be joining George.